Tell me, how does a heart that's already been broken twice survive betrayal a third time? If you're watching this, maybe you're over 40. Maybe you've lived enough life to know that love isn't simple, trust isn't easy, and loneliness is a silent room that echoes louder after 45. This story is not about young heartbreak. This is about the kind of pain that comes after you've already rebuilt yourself, after you've already told yourself, never again. But life has a strange way of testing us, doesn't it? Let me tell you about Daniel Harris, a 49-year-old architect from Seattle. A man who survived a divorce, the collapse of a 22-year marriage, the loneliness of becoming an empty nester. And just when he thought he finally had a second chance at happiness, love knocked on his door again. But this time it didn't come alone, it came with a lesson. Daniel Harris was the kind of man most people in their late 40s would relate to. Quiet, loyal, exhausted by life in a way that only adulthood can teach you. He had a stable job, 2 grown children in college, and a house that echoed with memories more than laughter. He wasn't unhappy, but he wasn't alive either. He was surviving. His 22-year marriage had ended 2 years earlier, not because of infidelity or fights, but because of something far more dangerous. His wife, Laura, simply said one night at the dinner table, "I don't think we love each other anymore, not the way we used to." And just like that, his world, his comfort, his routine collapsed. After the divorce, Daniel promised himself he wouldn't fall in love again. Dating apps felt like job applications. Blind dates felt like interviews. And everyone in their late 40s came with stories, scars, and baggage, including him. But life doesn't always need your permission to change you. Sometimes it just does. Her name was Claire Thompson. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't young enough to trigger suspicion. She wasn't old enough to be bitter. She was 45, divorced for 3 years, and worked as an interior designer. Daniel met her at a charity art exhibit in downtown Seattle. He had gone alone, mostly because his daughter insisted he get out of the house more. Claire was standing in front of a watercolor painting, Something About the Sea at Dusk, when Daniel said softly, "Beautiful piece, the colors feel like quiet after a storm." Claire turned, smiled, and said, "A quiet after a storm, that's a rare thing these days." That one sentence, simple, poetic, vulnerable, opened a door in Daniel's heart he thought was locked forever. They talked for 2 hours straight, not about dating, not about expectations, just life, work, regrets, the fear of growing older alone, the difficulty of starting over at almost 50. The uncertainty that comes when the world tells you you're past your prime. For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt seen, truly seen. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Claire became inseparable. Daily calls, late-night conversations, long walks around Green Lake, coffee dates that lasted 4 hours, dinners that ended with whispered confessions in the car. Claire listened when he spoke. She touched his hand with warmth. She made him feel attractive again, something he hadn't felt in years. But more than that, she made him believe love was still possible. The walls around his heart began to crumble, and he let them. Because at 49, loneliness weighs heavier. Companionship becomes precious. You don't crave excitement, you crave understanding. Daniel thought he had finally found someone who understood him, and maybe he had. But not in the way he hoped. It was subtle at first. Claire would say things like, "You're too good for that old car, Daniel," or "You shouldn't be living alone in such a big house, it's unsafe." She began planting thoughts softly, carefully. The first real red flag came one weekend when she said, "Why don't we renovate your house? I'm an interior designer. Let me help you. We can make it our space someday." The word "our" made Daniel's heart flutter. He didn't see manipulation. He saw a future. So he agreed. She never asked for money directly. No, she was too smart for that. Instead, she said things like, "This material is healthier. This design will increase your property value. You should invest in better equipment for your work-from-home days." And slowly, Daniel found himself spending thousands. $2,000 here, $5,000 there, a new couch, a redesigned kitchen corner, better lighting, high-quality paint. He didn't feel pressured. He felt guided, supported, like she was helping him rebuild his life. He didn't know she was rebuilding it for herself, not for him. Claire made herself indispensable in Daniel's life. She filled gaps. She became the person he vented to, the person he planned with, the person he trusted with his insecurities. And then she began sharing hers, a difficult ex-husband, a business that was barely surviving, medical bills for her aging mother in Portland. The financial pressures, she said, were embarrassing. Daniel felt sympathy. He felt protective. He felt needed. For a man nearing 50, being needed feels like oxygen. So when Claire said softly one night, "I hate asking you this, but could you lend me $4,000 just until next month?" Daniel didn't hesitate, not because he was naive, but because he believed love required support. Love, after all, is partnership. He transferred the money. She cried, hugged him, called him her guardian angel. And that was the day Daniel fell deeply, dangerously in love. Over the next few months, their relationship deepened, or at least he thought it did. She introduced him to her cousin, never family, never close friends. She told him how safe she felt with him, how she couldn't imagine life without him, how rare it was to meet a man like him at this age. But then she started canceling plans, once because of a work emergency, then because her mother fell sick, then because she had a sudden client meeting. Daniel understood. He was patient. Life happens. But then there were days when she went silent. No texts, no calls, no explanations. At first she apologized. Then she stopped explaining altogether. And one night Daniel asked, "Claire, is everything okay? You've seemed distant." She sighed, looked away, and said, "I'm just stressed. Please don't make this about trust. I thought you were different, Daniel." That sentence hit his heart like a knife. Because when you're over 40, when you've already been accused, blamed, used, abandoned, the fear of being not enough still lives inside you. So he apologized. He apologized for her distance. He apologized for her silence. He apologized for feeling neglected. The truth came on a Thursday afternoon. Daniel stopped by Claire's office with flowers. He wanted to surprise her, something sweet, something thoughtful. But when he reached the studio, he froze. Behind the glass, Claire was laughing deep, genuine laughter with a man Daniel had never seen. They were standing close, too close. She touched his shoulder. He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. Daniel felt something inside him collapse. He didn't storm inside. He didn't shout. He didn't create drama. People over 40 don't do that. They break quietly. He walked back to his car, hands trembling. He waited 2 hours, watched them leave together. They got into Claire's car. She kissed the man's cheek and drove away. Daniel didn't go home. He drove to the nearest park and sat there until the sky turned dark. He didn't cry. He just existed. The man realizing the world is still cruel, even after 49 years of experience. That night, Claire finally texted, Hey love, rough day. Can't talk much, will explain tomorrow. Daniel's heart clenched. He wrote back. Explain now, she replied. Why are you being controlling? A familiar tactic. Blame the innocent, defend the guilty. Daniel called. She didn't pick up. He texted. I saw you today. I was at your office. Silence. Then, Daniel, it's not what you think. A long pause. He's just a friend. You're misunderstanding everything. But Daniel wasn't a 20-year-old boy anymore. He had lived enough life to recognize lies dressed as excuses. He simply wrote, "Please return the money you owe me." 5 minutes later, she blocked him. On WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Instagram, on messages, everywhere. Just like that, the woman he trusted, the woman he loved, the woman he rebuilt his heart for was gone. Daniel didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he reported the incident to his bank, but the transfer was voluntary. Nothing could be done. He tried calling Claire's workplace. They told him she had resigned 2 days earlier. He messaged the cousin, number disconnected. He searched online. No trace, no real business records, no verified identity. Everything about Claire had been curated, designed, strategically built to appear trustworthy. She had done this before. Maybe many times. Daniel realized something heartbreaking. She never loved him. She loved his stability. She loved his loneliness. She loved his vulnerability. She loved his need to feel loved, but she did not love him. Not even for a second. For weeks, Daniel struggled, not because of the money, but because of the betrayal. Betrayal hits harder after 40. It isn't youthful heartbreak. It's the shattering of trust you spent years rebuilding. He stopped going out, stopped answering friends, stopped believing he could ever love again. But one morning, while sorting old boxes, he found a letter his daughter had written him during his divorce. It said, "Dad, you deserve someone who loves you the way you love the world. Don't let one heartbreak convince you otherwise." He sat on the floor and cried, not because he was weak, but because he finally allowed himself to feel. That day, Daniel made a promise to himself. He would not harden his heart. He would not let one manipulative person define his future. He would not carry bitterness into the next chapter of his life. He learned 3 lessons he wished someone had told him earlier. Loneliness is not a reason to choose quickly. Companionship chosen out of fear becomes a cage. Not everyone who comforts you has good intentions. Some people study your wounds to create their strategy. Love after 40 is possible, but trust must grow slowly, very slowly. 6 months later, Daniel was stronger. He joined a book club, started traveling, got closer to his kids, took cooking classes, bought a dog, and one afternoon in a small cafe near Lake Union, a woman named Emily Clark, 47, asked if the seat next to him was taken. They talked for 2 hours. No sparks, no pressure. No promises, just honesty, just real conversation. And for the first time since Claire, Daniel realized something powerful. Love doesn't need to arrive dramatically. Real love arrives quietly, like a friend knocking gently on the door. Emily wasn't perfect. Neither was he, but they were real. And sometimes, real is better than romantic. If you're watching this and you're over 40, if you've loved and lost, if you've trusted and been betrayed, if you've been manipulated, used, or taken advantage of, please remember this. Your age is not a weakness. Your loneliness is not a flaw. Your heart is not a liability, but you must protect it, not by closing it, but by opening it slowly. The right person will wait. The wrong person will rush. If this story touched your heart, remember, trust can be rebuilt. Love can return, but your peace must come first. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay wise, and stay open, but only to those who prove they deserve your heart.